I'm Harvey, host of Franchising Brand Stories.
Hi, I'm Ryan, Director of Tezlom.
Fantastic. Well, look, welcome to Franchising Brand Stories. This is a show where we get under the hat of some of the top brands in the UK and in the world. And today is no exception. This is the show where we hear the stories behind the brands that you know and the brands that you don't know. So if you're looking at getting into franchising and you want to know what is going on behind the scenes, who people really are, what people's values are, then this is a show where hopefully you can see that. Now, it's a live format. We're live on various platforms. So if you are here on June the 19th, 2024, between 5:15 for about 50 minutes, we're live. And you can put a comment and we can show it, just like I'm going to do right now. Look at that. So if you are here, please say hello, ask any questions you would like to, and we are going to be loving to hear your comments. So this week we are very honoured to have the wonderful Ryan Armitage from Tezlom, and we're going to hear all about Tezlom and what Tezlom is, and where it began and what they're doing now, and possibly what they're going to be doing in the future as well. So Tezlom, what is in a name? I'm going to read this bit just in case you think I'm making this up.
Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say.
We have the privilege of hosting an extraordinary entrepreneur, Ryan Armitage, who has not only reshaped the healthcare staffing industry, but has also turned personal adversity into a powerful legacy of compassion and care. The Tezlom story is a testament to resilience, dedication, and the power of family. We are eager to hear more about their journey, the evolution of Tezlom, and their ongoing mission to foster a culture of care and compassion within the healthcare industry. So look, I'd like to start, while I put a few people up on the screen, with chapter 1, because it's always a good place to start, isn't it? Chapter 1. And by asking you, what is Tezlom, and where are you at now?
So Tezlom is a recruitment agency. So we work in the temporary and permanent staffing sector, and we predominantly work in the health and social sector. We also work in some other sectors as well, but predominantly in the health and social care sector. That's what we do.
And how would you describe where you're at now in terms of sort of a size and where you're at as a company?
So I'd say in terms of like physical franchises, there's 20 franchisees at the minute.
Okay.
Those numbers have gone up and down over the years. We've been trading since 2008. And we've got a head office, or whatever you want to call it, the pilot, which is a reasonable sized office. Currently sitting with about 15 staff at the head office, and roughly about 20 franchisees, and that's what it is really.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, look, a fabulous introduction to Tezlom, and people can really understand exactly what it is, first of all, because it's not necessarily obvious in the name. Where did the name come from, actually? I'm going to ask that.
It was originally started by my mum, the business, back in 2008. We were called 24/7 Professional Health. And my dad joined the business very shortly after. He'd been a previous franchise business as well, and he joined very shortly afterwards, and they franchised that in 2010. It was called 24/7 Professional Health. I think the words were just in the name of what he did, 24/7 delivering professional health, which is great. And I think back then it didn't really, brand wasn't as really strong back then. I joined the business subsequently in about 2012. I'd set up a health education recruitment agency, and this is a longer story, but with a family friend. and I just started franchising that. But my mum rang me. Well, it was actually my dad rang me in September 2012 and said that he'd just been diagnosed with bowel cancer, and it was pretty tough, as you can imagine. And Mum said to me, "Would you please come in the business and give your part of your other business to what was my auntie at the time, and bring over what I'd specialised in children's services over to 24/7 professional health, because they predominantly worked just in the adult sector." So, because my dad needed cancer treatment, a lot of it, and he was never going to be back in the business again. So I did leave education appointments with my auntie Sue. I joined 24/7 professional health, and so did my brother. My brother was a little bit younger than me, and he was selling cars at an old garage that I used to sell cars at. And he joined, and we kind of grew the business from there. I got thrown in the deep end a little bit with franchising, learned some lessons there quite quickly. And we grew the business. We took off. We're a pretty big business. And since then, my dad never stepped back in the doors of the business, really. He developed, he beat cancer, and Mum would shout at me, but I can't remember what year, but let's say it was 2014, 2016. He beat cancer, but unfortunately got diagnosed with Parkinson's and then developed dementia. He had Parkinson's dementia for quite a few years, unfortunately, and then passed away. I think it was May year before last. He passed away, Dad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was never back in the business. But Tom, my brother, about 2016, got a pretty nasty drug addiction to cocaine, and also suffered quite a lot of mental health problems around that, anything you do with an addiction. And so, yeah, we went through that for quite a few years, me and Tom, trying to find a way through that. And then one day, I'd got him, one day he decided to take his own life. So he took his own life back in October 2018. And yeah, that was quite a bit of a turn of events, to be honest with you. And me and Mum made a decision commercially to carry on the business and work through these things, and we rebranded the business. So in amongst all this, while this was going on, to be honest with you, I was looking at the brand anyway, because what I wanted to do is bring the stories of the agency workers to life, because agency workers subsequently always don't get a good reputation, and we had some amazing people on our books. And actually some of them looked after my dad when he was really poorly. And so I was always looking at an avenue of trying to bring them sort of real life stories to the forefront of the business. So we were looking at social media, looking at video, looking at photography, looking at blogs, podcasts, and I was kind of already in them depths of this whilst I was going through this with my brother. So at the same time we did that, when Tom took his life, we were talking to a branding agency, we worked together with them, and we rebranded the business. And when I did the rebrand, I wanted to make sure that Tezlom could do what it wanted in the future. It didn't have to stay in healthcare recruitment. It could buy hospitals, it could buy nursing homes, it could be domiciliary, it could do what it wanted. It could work in multiple sectors. It didn't need to just be in professional healthcare. So we rebranded the business. So it tracked, Tezlom, we were a traditional recruitment agency, shirts and ties, suits, magnolia walls, leaderboards, ringing bells, targets, all that sort of stuff. Well, we never really had it as bad as that, because me and Tom never wanted it like that, but we were that traditional sense. But yeah, so to get to Tezlom, it stands for transparency, equality, zealous, loyalty, organic, and motivation. They're our brand pillars, and every letter has a meaning behind it, and it's all in our brand Bible on our website. But the heart is a location marker, and our strapline is finding places for people that care. And in the previous logo, we used to have a love heart as well. But my brother was called Tom, and my dad was called Les. Okay. Yeah. So I have my brother's name. So to me, it's miles more than a business. It's my purpose. It's my legacy, and it's a lot more depth to some people's thought up on the back of a fag packet names. Or yeah, so it's a lot more to me than it means to anyone else. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't know if it's a trigger written on the wall all the time either, but that's a different story for another time. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing such a personal and frank story there. And it's really important, because I know you relatively well, and you always come across as such a caring person, and also somebody who's really honest with their emotions, and that comes across. So thank you so much for sharing a touching story behind a powerful name. And it's important for people to hear that, and particularly from you. So thank you. Let's have a look at who's here today before we press ahead. So we have the wonderful Sanjay. Sanjay's a lovely chap, regular on this and our sister show, the franchise show. We have the ever wise Simon Wise, partner on this, good friend of mine. Heads up FranRec, and will help all of us budding franchisors help us find some lovely stuff. So great to have you with us. We have Katrina Newman. Fantastic to have you here. Thanks for joining us. And Katrina's put hello Ryan and Harvey and other franchise friends too. Now we've got somebody new here. Neil Lloyd, connector, speaker, and podcaster. Fantastic. Great to have you with us. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Got someone next that you might know. It's great to have you here, Gemma. Gemma works, of course, with Ryan. So fantastic to have you here, and looking forward to hearing your thoughts. I'm sure you'll have a few as we go along. We've got Johnny Joseph from Los Angeles, regular on the show, a franchise auditor. So great to have you here. We've got a little bit of a meatier comment here, so we might go back to that once we've recognized everybody else's that is here. We have Emily Price, who's got hi Ryan and Harvey, looking forward to this one. Well, I'm looking forward to this one too. We've got Liam, guest last week. Great to have you here, Liam. And it was fantastic to hear your story last week. Sanjay's coming back with a good comment. We will go back to that as well. We have a couple more people. Kay Lou Haskins has put hi guys, new to the show. So great to have you here. And finally, on the list, I think, we've got Vaughan Maiden. Looking forward to this, Ryan. So great to have you all here. Really looking forward to hearing your thoughts, your comments, and your questions. And we've sort of almost gone into chapter 2 already, actually, which is fantastic. If you've just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories. And today we are hearing, I'm going to do it again, what's under the hat of Tezlom with the wonderful Ryan Armitage. And we've just heard an incredible story just even behind the name. So when I said in that introduction, what's in a name, listen to the beginning of this, because there's a lot in this name. So, but we are going to get to chapter 2. And chapter 2 is really us going back in time and going back to the beginning. And you've shared already the story of how things begun, and that was a fascinating story. So thanks for taking us back there. Let's throw things open by getting a couple of questions from people that are here, because I love to do that. It saves me the job. This is from Neil. We've just started franchising and interested to hear how you found the right people for your first few franchise territories. Great question, Neil. How did and how do you find the right people?
I think for me, I'm probably not going to give I go with my gut. That's how I pick the right people or work with the right people. I also get the gut of my team as well. So obviously you create your adverts, you do your marketing campaigns, and I think you kind of have to start there. You might have an idea of the type of person that you would want working with you, maybe their background, some of their expertise, the skill set they might need to run your type of business. And then I think it's a case of advertising, marketing, and seeing what comes in and just having them conversations. When I've done it in the past, I generally just have a chat and ask a lot of questions and find out what type of person they are really. Do I get on with them? Do they make me feel good? Do they give me good energy over the phone? Do they make me feel like the type of person that I could speak to on a regular basis? And then I kind of move forward from there, really. Obviously, need to ask the normal sort of questions in terms of funding and money and things like that. Can they, is it affordable to them? But I think my personal experience is just a good gut feeling. And then I think moving from that stage to a meeting or a discovery day and getting more people in the team to have a chat with those individuals to see if they think their skill sets and that personality type will suit the business. So that's what I would do, Neil, is I would just go with your gut, put your marketing out there, tell them the package, tell them what you do for people, have some conversations, and go from there. That's how I would start.
I love that. Going with your gut. I really like that, because I think if you're good with people, and you clearly are good at reading people, we all know, if we've been in franchising for a little bit of time, that you've got to talk to a lot of people to find a franchise partner, even if you weren't particularly fussy about that. And hopefully people will find the right franchise partner. So you've got to talk to a lot of people, whether that's, getting leads coming into your business, or whether that's being in an exhibition.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you said, how do they make you feel? How someone makes you feel and how you make them feel is pretty powerful stuff.
Most important bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Franchising is about people, and business is about people. It literally is the most important bit. Someone could be really qualified, and I could have someone approach me who's been in healthcare recruitment for 10 years, has contacts and all them sorts of things. But if I don't like that individual, they conflict with my energy and they don't sort of fit my page, then I'm not going to do business with them. And I have done that before in the past, because having a business and having the skills are two different things. In my eyes, you can have skills to do the job, but actually running a business and digging deep and making something happen is, I think, a completely different thing, to be honest with you. You can be really good at your job, but be a terrible business owner.
I think it's really, really insightful to hear you say that, because I think you're absolutely right. Skills, whatever you say skills are, they're possibly, you could argue, you could train someone to have some skills, but you can't train someone to be great with people. I wrote down there when you said about asking questions, someone said to me to ask the second question, which I always remember. If you say to someone, how you doing? And they go, yeah, I'm fine. But if you dig a little deeper, and you really start to understand and get to know people, that's really where you'll start to find true business partners, true colleagues, true friends, whatever it might be. If you, again, you've got the heart, and I wrote down finding places for people that care.
Yeah.
It's clear that value comes from you.
Yeah, I need to feel that. So one of my things is trying to go for something to eat with someone if I can. If I can go for something to eat with someone, I always spot the way they talk to the waiter. I always spot their table manners. I always spot their manners with me. I feel like people relax around a table having food and stuff, and you catch people off guard a little bit. I mean, I don't mean that in a cynical way. No. I mean that in a way it just relaxes the mood. I mean, I don't mean 20 beers, because then that's not a good idea. But I feel like there's something in it about just being able to have a bit of food and let a bit of time pass and ask them more. Bit for, like you say, the second question, ask a few more questions and try and find out people's why. That's what I think.
I like that as well. Talking about table, I've got loads of questions. I want to get to these questions, but it's just been a really fascinating chat. I know, a few people in the past I've spoken to that have gone for a walk with their colleagues and their team members, and just getting some fresh air and changing that scenery. Amrit, he does his walk and talks. Great. Just get somebody out of that environment. Look, let's have a look at a couple of other questions that we've got, because this is what this show is all about. It's taking what everybody else is saying and such valuable insights and a great community. So let's have a quick look. Have we got to this one yet? Yes, no, we haven't. Hopefully an insightful story. I'm currently working with a number of franchise brands who require franchise finance in the same sector, namely domiciliary home care. I nearly struggled with saying that word. That's great. Well, hopefully you will find some gold nuggets in today's conversation, Sanjay. Let's have a little look at Emily. Emily has put, you are an example of someone that has found a deep purpose, a vision, and this business represents that. Can you share how you dug deep to create a strong framework and meaningful community within your network? That's a great question, and you absolutely are that. And I think it must be hard, because I think it just comes naturally. It's come from a powerful story, and it's come from a true story that's so close to your heart. You couldn't be anything other. But how do you tackle that question?
I knew Emily was going to give me a difficult question. She'll be smiling watching this. Yeah, I think when we rebranded, I was going through such a massive change, dramatically myself. As it happened, I was like, how are we going to do this and what we're going to do? I think we started with the lead of wanting to do what I started off doing and bringing the voice of the agency workers to the front of the brand. If you check our YouTube channel, you'll check there's loads and loads and loads of videos of people sharing their stories as an agency worker. And we work with some of the biggest companies in the country. And I wanted people to know who they're kind of working alongside, and I'm just rewarding those individuals for doing a great job by getting on a local level with them and finding out a bit more about them. And it's really nice to hear what they've done in the past and how they've got there. It's really interesting to find out why someone does agency work. That's where I started with it, and then also we rolled out across the company, across every franchisee. So we did a big project of going around every franchise office, asking them to get feedback from their clients about the people, that the agency workers they've got going into their establishment. So it was a big project, and then we went around the country and spoke to each franchisee and got their stories of all their agency workers, and I started there really. I mean, the first bit of the work was to do the rebrand, and that was where I went down to each individual franchise and spoke to them about why we're going to do what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. So yeah, that's how it went, and that's how it kind of went from there, really, creating that bond.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love what you say about the agency workers. My wife worked in care. She works in a doctor's surgery now, but she worked in care for many years, both directly and as agency staff. And you've identified some things that I've got personal experience of that she went through when she was, to not feel part of that team, perhaps when you come in as agency staff. And, there's a lot of challenges, and there's some fantastic people that work in that sector, and what I'm going to do, I haven't got it here yet, but we will put in the notes of today's episode the link to your YouTube channel that shows some of those stories, because I think it's really powerful and really important for people to see those. So I think it's a wonderful thing to do, and we will definitely put that link in the comments.
The biggest bit with us is because agency workers are generally people who kind of need that flexibility and that emergency kind of work on a weekly basis, but they don't always get the same rewards as a permanent full-time employee would. So that's where I kind of missed that gap, and rewarding them with certificates, gift vouchers, chocolates, and also just a shake of the hand or a cuddle, just to say thank you very much. I appreciate your time, and getting to know them on that level. It's difficult to know that many people on that level, but creating that community that started from there. That's what we kind of did, really.
That's fantastic. I love that. Give them a cuddle as well. Give them a hug.
I'm a big hugger, mate. I always hug.
Well, give me a hug. Come on. I'm in for a hug. Look, we've got some fantastic comments here, and I'm captivated by your story myself. So thank you so much again. If you have just joined us today, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and we are talking with Ryan Armitage about the wonderful Tezlom and the story behind that. So it's fantastic to hear that. And here's Darren, and he's put, Harvey, I need a hat like that, mate. Well, yes, of course, the hat. You wouldn't hear what's under the hat if it wasn't for the hat. Just tuned in and I've missed the start. Well, look, Darren, you will be able to see the replay of this. If you just click the link after this show, it'll take you right back to the beginning, like a time machine, it will. So great to have you here. Let's take a comment here from Simon. And Simon's put, what skills and experience, we've touched on this a little bit, do franchisees need to succeed in your franchise? Now, you've spoken there about the fact that it's a gut feel, but what type of people do you have in your network? You know, is it varied?
Yeah, it does vary, to be honest with you. We've got a varied of different franchisees. I think if you had to write down a piece of paper the skills they need to be able to communicate and talk to people. It's recruitment. Simon knows this. It's recruitment. You need to be able to talk to people. You can't be someone who's would shy away from breaking into conversation. But I'd say that about any business to a certain degree. You need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to have a conversation on the phone. And you definitely need a little bit of resilience. But I'd say that about any business. But recruitment, there's phone calls to be made, there's meetings to be had, and there's that consistency of being able to follow up them business meetings. But I honestly would say the same about a lot of businesses, and that's why I always say about my gut feeling is that I think a lot of people can be taught skills. If they're coachable, that's a real good thing. They need to be coachable, they need to have some resilience, and we need to be able to work together to teach them skills. But yeah, that's kind of what I look for. If I had to write something down, I would say, be a good communicator, that's what I would say.
That's fantastic, and I think so important, being able to talk to people, but also, I was told very early on, we have two of these, I'm one of those. So being able to listen to somebody is perhaps even more important than being able to talk, but that's a big part of communication, of course. Yeah. And I love resilience, because of course you're going to have your good days and your bad days, and you've got to be.
We have more bad days than good at first, don't you? Let's face it.
Of course.
Right.
We were talking before this went live about the fact that life is a bit of a roller coaster. Not quoting what's he called? I can't even remember who he is now, but boy band guy. Yes, you've got to have your ups and downs, and resilience is so important. We've got these questions are flying in. It's been a fantastic episode so far, and I think we could probably go on for about 3 or 4 hours. People are loving this story, Ryan. It's really fascinating, and again, thank you for being so open. Let's take a question here from Vaughan, Vaughan Maiden, and Vaughan's put, knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently when you were first starting out? I mean, you began with a very tricky situation. I mean, my dad died. He was an architect. I had to try and sort of sort out things. I attempted to run his business for a little bit of time myself, but I'm no architect and I couldn't do it. But I know the difficulty of having to sort of go through grieving and sorting all these things out, very hard. But under perhaps slightly different circumstances, would you have done anything different? I mean, you've got a powerful and wonderful brand, and the strength behind it comes straight from your heart.
Yeah, see, no, my answer is no, I wouldn't do anything differently. Because I feel like the lessons you learn from the things because I only think you learn when you, and I don't know if I'm supposed to swear or not, but if you fuck up, that's the only time you never learn when things are going well. You sell a franchise really well, or you get a client on really well, you don't really learn anything. You just get go around telling everyone, don't you? It's when things go dramatically wrong is when you learn your lessons. You need things to go really, really, really wrong. You either chip in and chip out and you call it a day and get out, or you dig really deep and make it happen. So would I do anything differently? Probably not. No. Could I do things quicker and better now? Yeah, but no, I probably wouldn't do anything differently. No. Would I let Tom die? Probably not. But that was inevitable.
Well, yeah, but that, you know, it's very hard, you know, and it's very hard in life. You always look back, you know, when things are done, they're done. You know, you can't go back and change them. You know, this question in business is something that's often asked, isn't it? You know, it's often asked, but it's great to hear you wouldn't. You know, it's great to hear you embracing the full story and using it as the strength and honesty behind it.
I think a lot of people in business is often, I've met franchisors who do it, and they almost promote themselves as being absolutely perfect. They almost promote that they do absolutely nothing wrong and everything's correct all the time. Well, anyone who knows that's bullshit for a start, and you only learn from mistakes. So if they're that perfect, they'll have got a massive bank of hidden mistakes behind them that they're just trying to mask. And I think sometimes being open about the challenges you've been through and gone through, it's no longer, I don't see it as a weakness, because if I tell you that, you know, some of the things I went through, you might think at first, bloody hell, that's a lot, but then I think, well, you know, you must be quite strong to get through those things. So I always think that, you know, painting a perfect picture is a lot of shit to me.
I completely agree. And, you know, getting things wrong and it is definitely not weakness. You know, it's strength, it's resilience. And it sits so well in franchising. In franchising, as a franchisee, what you are buying is you're buying time, because any passionate entrepreneur can start a business, grow a business, run a business, if they've got enough time, enough money, enough resilience, all these other things, right? But often people fall at the first or the 10th or the 100th hurdle, right? And you're also buying somebody else's mistakes.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
Yeah, every single franchise business out there is wherever they're at because they've made hundreds of mistakes.
Yeah.
And every mistake they've learned, done it a different way. And that's what you're buying.
Look at the ops manual, right? Your ops manual should change every month because you should be fixing things every month. You should have a new ops manual every month because you've fixed problems every month, and then that should change. So if you're not doing that, you're probably in a very stagnant business. Because you should be making mistakes and thinking, right, okay, that's crap now. We've changed that. We're moving forward to the next thing. That's what I personally think.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. I must mention our lovely sponsor, Penny Hopkinson, actually, because if you're looking at ops manuals, she's your lady. So please reach out to her if you are. And talking of lovely sponsors, I would like to formally announce, perhaps I should have done it at the beginning, but there you go. It's live, isn't it? But I'd like to formally announce we have a new media partner. And it's Elite Franchise. Everyone knows Elite Franchise with the Elite Franchise Awards. And as you can see by the lovely banner spinning across the bottom at the moment, that the awards, the nomination process is beginning on the 1st of August. So you can get your applications in. And we had a conversation yesterday with Scott English about celebrating franchise success, and that's so important. So you know, please check that out when you can. Let's have a little look at what else we've got in here. Let's look at a question here from Simon, and Simon's put, what does the franchisee prospect journey look like? So this is the, you know, obviously from the point you meet someone, have a quick chat to them, take them out, you know, for dinner, see how polite they are with the knives and forks. Yeah. But you know, what does that journey look like for someone, and how long does that take?
At the minute, we constantly change because we always have your sort of framework. But the minute a lead comes in or we meet someone at the expo, Gemma is sort of the initial contact. She knows exactly what we're looking for. She'll make a judgment call based on the conversations we've had. We spend a lot of time together. She spends a lot of time in the business. She makes that judgment call at that stage. Then she'll set up a Zoom call with me and her and the prospect, and we'll go through the business, how they're going to get there, what's their why, what's their end game look like, and then we'll meet up with them face to face. And again, it's that, what do they present themselves like, how smart they are, what do they appear like, how do they treat other people, what's their manners like, all them sort of things. If that goes well, at that point, then we'll introduce them to NGI Finance, who we work with, to talk about finances and funding if they need that. At the same time, we'll give them some franchisees to speak to. We'll usually just pick a handful of franchisees, but we do give them all the numbers throughout the stage, but usually pick of like some new franchisees and some aged franchisees to speak to. And then that's so then parallel going on, and we book the discovery day at that point. So they speak to the franchisees, they speak to NGI Finance. That's successful, generally is. They come up the night before. We make sure they come up the night before. They start work here at 9 o'clock and they work within the business. So they pick the phones up, they get to know the team, they're making coffees, they're sending emails, they're covering shifts. They are doing the job. They actually do the job. And then that lasts most of the day to about 3 o'clock. And what happens is they'll spend a bit of time with each individual who they'll be working with, the support team, doing that. And then at the same time, they're kind of getting a feel for the business. My support team are getting a feel for them, and they're looking out for some key things as well. Can they send emails? Can they work a CRM? Can they pick the phone up? How hesitant are they to do things? How do they treat each other? Have they got good manners? All them morals, all them ethics we're looking for. Why are they in it? You know, that we're looking for all them things. Where's their moral compass at? And then when we get to the end of the day, we shake hands, and generally at that stage, people kind of want to leave a deposit at that point, and we'll give them all the details to do that. And then we have a bit of a cool-off day, and we have a meeting about how we thought they were, and if they're any good and what we think they are. And if they are good at that point, we pass them on to something that's relatively new, to be honest with you. It's called the Tezlom Journal, which is basically a business plan, but with a bit more fluff around it, that's the right word. But it's a bit more like, how are they going to do it, and who's involved, and their thought processes behind it. And then at that stage, we award the franchise if they pass that bit, and that's it really, in a nutshell. That's how we do it.
So do you have territories? Is that how it works?
Yeah, territories. We give quite big territories, and I'm sure people might criticise us on that. But yeah, at the minute we give quite big territories, and it seems to work quite well because we want quite big franchises. So that's how we work it.
Sure. You've said it a few times, and I really picked up on this, and I really like it. You know, you said you look at how they treat other people when they're working in the office.
Yeah.
You know, do they perhaps offer to make the drinks for everybody, or do they just sort of wander off and make the drinks?
My biggest things in life is integrity, morals, manners. Like, if you haven't got them, you're not that type of person.
It's really interesting, and you can pick up these things when you say about going out for a meal. You know, how do they
go first, and what do they look like, and how do they conduct themselves?
How do they dress? How are they eating? You know, but also how are they treating someone like, you know, the wonderful people who, you know, I worked in that industry. I was a chef many years ago, and waiter, and all those sorts of things. You know, and, you know, you want to treat everybody in your life and everybody you meet with respect, complete respect. You know, and it's really interesting to see how, and great to see how important those elements are, because if you get people that are at the top of their organizations, then you get people when they're looking for staff, you get staff who understand about how to treat everybody with dignity and respect. And therefore, when you're getting the wonderful and amazing people that work within hospitals and care.
You get it now, don't you? You understand that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
It's like when people go to a restaurant, they disassociate that person of being a human being all of a sudden because they're sat down being served. And if I spot that they do that, it's a big red flag for me.
Yeah. So it's really interesting to hear, how you do it. And I think it's a great way of doing it, because they're relaxed, they're being them, and that's where you get to know who they are.
Because at the minute they're doing a presentation to me, they're making me look the best person. It's the bits in between that you're looking for.
The bits, I see. I'm gonna. Someone reminded me of what someone said to me, and what was it? It's the gaps between the words where you learn the most, or something like that. It was some really wise stuff, but it's those pauses, those moments. Like you say, if you invite someone in for a job interview, they're on guard, they're formal, it's pre-planned, but like you say, in that other setting, you pick up on all sorts of other nuances that you just wouldn't get. So I love that. Sorry, again, I've been really taken with this story, and thank you so much for sharing. I think that, because I know you well, I think that we've just got such a fantastic story here. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you today. And people are putting comments here, and I must get to them. I've just been fascinated myself. So let's have a look at one from. Maybe you can pick one. You can see them, can't you?
Yeah, Emily's put something else underneath there. There's no doubt.
Let me read it, because I've got to do something apart from wearing a hat. There is no doubt you live and breathe the Tezlom brand. How do you communicate and encourage your network to do this? I mean, we've touched on this a lot.
Yeah, it starts from the very beginning. It starts from them initial phone calls, creating that relationship with them, getting trained by the team, because it's a culture, isn't it? It's more than a culture. It's like a tribe of people that are in this cult called Tezlom, and they all live and breathe it, and they all know exactly how they feel when they're here, and they all have the same disciplines as me. They all feel it. It's not something that, it's not just a logo and a badge. I think a lot of brands stick a logo on something, and they think that person becomes that logo or they become that brand. It's much deeper than that. The team that we work with are exactly the same without any logos on in any environment. So it's you can stick as many fancy logos and stuff as you want until you get to the underbelly of the people and get to know each other and go through some hardship together and go through some successes together and share journeys and get to know each other really well and go through that. So when you're taking franchise partners on that journey with you, we kind of go on that same thing with the franchise partners. We live and breathe the encouragement through the network and communicate it, so they get to feel part of it and live and breathe the brand. It doesn't need to have a logo anywhere. We put the logos on stuff, don't get me wrong, we cover everything in it, but they become part of a cult.
Absolutely, yeah. And you know what, a logo should encapsulate something you feel, right? People spend all this time coming up with a logo and values and names and all of these things, but it should come the way it's come with you. It should come from that spirit, that heart that you've clearly got, and then everything else is created around it.
But then it's also those individuals have their own stamp on the brand as well. And it's encouraging them to live their life how they want to live it and be part of it as well. So it's not just like they live and breathe how Tezlom operates, it's how they operate within their own life, and they have their own brand and their own personal identity in life and what they want to do. So it's part of them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's lovely to hear as well, that you within that framework, you let people have their own, you said before about finding people's why, and one of the things I hear a lot from good franchisors is about finding someone's why. What's their dream? What's their thoughts? How do they see it? What makes them happy? Because having happy, successful franchisees, and the great John T. Hewitt said that to me. He successfully signed up 5,000 franchisees in his 54 years. Wow. And he said the secret was happy, successful franchisees. Very nuanced, of course, to get there. But I love the simplicity of that being the ingredients to success. and you clearly live and breathe it. I mean, today has really flown by for me. It's been such, I think, and I haven't said this before, but I think we need to have a part 2 of this story, because we've got so many fantastic questions. And as I say, I could carry on talking to you. You know, it just feels like I'm down the pub with my friends. So, it's, you know, it's been a great conversation. And yeah, I just said the same thing, Emily. I love that you embrace individuality in your network. Yeah, so do I. We are very close to wanting to move on to chapter 3, but let's have a quick look at what Natalie has put. It sounds like you have a close relationship with new franchisees when they join Tezlom. How do you maintain those relationships as your business grows? Or does their relationship move to working with your support team? This is a great question, actually, and I think we will touch on this, because what you appear to offer to me is such a personal thing. It's, you know, it's giving all of you to each of them individually, depending on what they want. Is that a difficult thing to scale? But
it's about boundaries. So it's about they know they wouldn't ring me about something that was an offer, you know, like something to do. We have a conversation about how to live your life, run a business. So it's about, I have a good relationship with all the franchise partners, but the conversations I have are different than some of the other support team would have, and naturally they are. But the support team also have very deep and meaningful conversations with the franchisees as well. I think we all, I would go as far to say, is have our own individual relationships with the franchise partners. Some are closer to others, some get on better than others. So yeah, I do have a relationship with franchise partners. I'll try and scale it, but yeah, it's about what do they expect from me when they call me, and I would say I'm probably not the best person to deal with this, you know, and pass it on to someone else, or I would have a very deep, you know, some person I'm talking to on a daily basis at the minute. Some people, you know, it's once a month. That's how it kind of is. So I think I guess it's them understanding why they would call you is the key to that, really. And then the support team in and around that, because we all have our better skill sets, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what, recognizing and nurturing people around you, which you clearly do, is a fantastic skill to have, because if you bring others up around you, whether they're your colleagues, your franchisees, or other people around you, if you're only ever lifting others up, then you're surrounded by like-minded people who love working with you. And look, there you go. There's an example in the comments right there from Gemma, who's put, so proud to work for such a brand. So a great way to end. We're also going to put up the fact that Scott has been here. Had the pleasure of speaking to Scott yesterday from our now wonderful partners, media partners. So look, we are going to move on now to chapter 3. If you have just joined us, this is Franchising Brand Stories, and we've been hearing the story behind Tezlom today with the wonderful Ryan Armitage, who has shared a fantastic story today, and it's been an absolute honor and privilege to talk to him and to hear that. If you want to catch the episode, we will be doing various things to help you catch the replay of that, so please look at that when you can. So we'll move on to chapter 3, which is all about the future. So this is where you give us the Franchising Brand Stories exclusive. I mean, what are your plans for the brand in the future? What have you got coming up in the months and years?
I think at the minute we're kind of in a position where we've just started supplying the NHS again with agency workers, and that's just about to start. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that publicly. I think I just about am allowed to say it, but I have said it now, so yeah, whatever. So that's the next thing. We've just rolled out a new CRM system as well. So there's a couple of, there's also a mutual vendor company that we've been working with as well make sure that basically the whole of the country is covered by every franchise, or most of the franchisees can join the neutral vendor, which then supplies a number of different clients across the country. So there's 3 chunky projects been going on over the last few months. I guess rolling those out would be a very big future project for the next 12 months, and learning around that. We may go into the domiciliary market as well. We're considering that. We have a franchisee who is doing that. We talked to them about it. They wanted to do it, so we supported and helped them grow. Like I said to you before, we can kind of do what we want to a certain degree. It doesn't have to stick exactly what we can mold and move and change and stuff. So yeah, I think I'd say those three chunks of work are going to be the big next 12 months rollout, because they're not small things to roll out, they're massive. And then I think maybe the domiciliary market might be a place where we go, but we'll just see other sectors as well. We've started working in other sectors like hospitality, drivers. So there's other sectors there we could add on. It's just discovering which one kind of works the best and making sure the franchise partners get supported with that as we move into it. But yeah, there's other sectors bubbling away, because some of the franchise partners want to talk to us about it. And it's not listening to your franchise partners is a bit bonkers sometimes as well. So listening to them, what they can bring to the table, what their ideas are, and pushing forward with them and bring it to the network. So that kind of yeah, that's the future really, to be honest with you. Different multiple sectors, maybe dom care, rolling out some big projects. Yeah, that's it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. And we got a Franchising Brand Stories exclusive. So thank you very much for that. It all sounds really exciting stuff. Let me just put your logo back up there, because I have to do this. People think I have people doing that for me, but no, it's just little old me doing it. It's been such a great conversation. I'm just going to say a couple of things before we start to conclude. I've put up there a QR code. It's been up there for the duration. Please scan that. That takes you to Tezlom's franchise page, where you can find out more information. And also perhaps you can reach out to Ryan on LinkedIn. Is that a good place to find you, Ryan? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
LinkedIn's probably, I've got an Instagram as well, but I'd say LinkedIn's my best platform to get in touch.
Fantastic. That's great. Well, look, is there anything else you'd like to leave people with that have tuned in either now, today, or in the future about Tezlom, a sort of a final words about the company, and any message you'd like to give anybody out there?
Oh God, that's a big statement to close on. I just watch this space. At the end of the day, it's been an interesting project since we changed brand. So yeah, interesting to see what happens over the next 12 months. Might end up getting a BFA awards. We'll just see what happens, won't we? Well,
hopefully I'll be there at least to watch. You can look out for him. But look, that's fantastic. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an incredible story. And I'd like to thank everyone who's been here today, because this show is what it is because of the people in our community. And I just want to say a big thank you to you all for being here, to putting such fantastic questions and inspiring comments there. It makes my job very easy. I've just got to sit here listening to an amazing story and wearing a silly hat. So I thank you all. You're all wonderful, and it's fantastic. I'd give you a hug if I could. Well, look, so next week, next Tuesday, we have the franchise show, our sister show. And that is on at 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. And we are going to discuss franchise contracts and agreement with Natalia Sports. I think that's how you pronounce. She'll correct me if I'm wrong. But it's going to be great to talk to Natalia, and a really important conversation to have as well. to find out about those, and they're really important. So that's great. Join us next week on Franchising Brand Stories. So that will be next Thursday. We're moving back to Thursday because I'm back on in my Harry Potter-esque under the stairs cupboard in the UK. So we're going back to Thursdays, and we are getting to hear what's under the hat of Reading Doctor. With the lovely Deborah Salisbury. So join us then for another fascinating franchising brand story. So until then, take good care, my friends, and see you then. Cheers.
Cheers.